Hey there, so we are going to be reading again from this book, and we are reading The Gay, Lesbian, Transgender, and Adopted Double Identity Dilemmas. In 2010, a census developed among the medical, psychological, and social welfare communities that, quote-unquote, children raised by gay and lesbian parents are just as likely to become well-adjusted as those raised by heterosexual parents. And so, in 2010, the 3rd District Court of Appeal of the state of Florida was satisfied that the issue is so far beyond dispute that it would be irrational to hold otherwise, and stated the best, quote-unquote, the best interests of children are not preserved by prohibiting homosexual adoption. Okay, so what I want to say about this is when adoptees speak on this, when we say adoption is not the first answer, it is because family preservation is first. Kinship would be next, and then legal guardianship. That has nothing to do with whether you're gay or straight, male or female. Obviously, there's more to it, but that should have nothing to do with it. We're not against any particular group. We're just thinking of what the child is first. And a lot of LGBTQ couples assume that because they're LGBTQ, they won't be able to bear children. And I say bear as in they think that they're infertile. That's not necessarily true. And there's other ways of having a child. I'm not going to say that they aren't great parents. I have a lot of friends who are, LGBTQ couples, and they make amazing parents. Most of which I think went through IVF or sperm donor. They went through sperm donor, I think, which has its own set of problems. But adoption is not necessarily the answer. Okay, moving on. By 2012, according to Wikipedia, approximately 2 million children in the United States were being raised by LGBT parents but unable to establish a quote-unquote legal relationship with their LGBT parents. By 2014, adoption by same-sex couples was legal in 22 states and 14 countries and some territories, and that is from the LGBT adoption Wikipedia page in 2014. In 2019, President Donald Trump announced his plan to allow adoption agencies to reject same-sex couples as prospective adoptive parents as part of his broader efforts to roll back Obama's era's non-discrimination policies across entire federal government. But views most often expressed regarding gay and lesbian parenting are usually couched in terms of one's quote-unquote right to have children, including by adoption. So, as I mentioned, there are other ways of having children beyond adoption. The quote-unquote right to adopt theory, advanced by openly gay ACLU director Anthony D. Romero, possibly began with a 2007 poll by CNN, an opinion research corporation, which found that 57% felt same-sex couples should have the quote-unquote right to adopt, and 40% said that they should not. A quote-unquote third view advanced by Americans for Open Records, the AMFOR, is that non-prohibiting LGBT parents from adopting who are unfit to parent does not bestow a quote-unquote right to adopt. No one, including heterosexuals, has a quote-unquote right to adopt someone else's child. The quote-unquote right to marry does not negate a quote-unquote right to adopt. So this is what I'm saying. It does not matter if you're gay. It does not matter if you're straight. No one is entitled to someone else's kid. It even says it in this book in bold and italics, in your face. Okay, sorry. Y'all, I got excited for that. Because this is what we say. IM4's position relies on the fact that while adults have a right to choose whether to marry or who they wish to marry, the other party has a right to accept or decline. A minor child has no choice whether to be adopted nor by whom. but also all adoptions result in the adoptee having quote-unquote less rights, or aka different rights in the case of Native American adoptees, according to a former executive director of Arizona ACLU, Lewis Rhodes, in his July 7th, 1992 letter responding to adoptee Wes Bickoff. It is therefore extremely important that the artificial right to adopt to be offered any individual or couple for socio-political advantage, not for any reason. Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, PFLAG, is an organization that supports the right of straight, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender individuals and couples to be parents regardless of their marital status through biological relationships, and when qualified adoptive or foster relationships. That is approved by the Board of Directors in 1995 and revised in 2012. Similarly, the Right to Life lobbyists misrepresent that adoption is a cure for abortion. Proven untrue per data in the Adoption and Donor Conceived Fact Book on Amazon, activists for LGBTQ rights need to respect millions of adoptees by refraining the suggestion right to adopt. This is what I'm saying. This is what we get all the time, and it's so frustrating. Okay. This need to respect, so this third view is neither an LGBTQ view nor an anti-adoption policy. It is offered in furtherance of equality for the adoptees, including gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender adoptees of all races and nationalities. A policy that has been well established by AMFOR over the past 30 years, since AMFOR's founding in 1989. While it's imperative that LGBTQ individuals in America be afforded access to the same playing field with regard to the same civil and human rights, it is a slap in the face of all adoptees to allege that any American has the right to adopt them. No one, gay or straight, has a right to adopt or the entitlement to adopt anyone. And this is exactly what I'm saying. Literally, word for word, what we say as adoptees. If you are following me on TikTok, you know this. This is so frustrating. As for those in the LGBT community who do adopt, they well know that just as homophobia has for centuries kept secret for sexual orientation of gay and lesbian individuals who only recently has been coming out of the closet, adopted children and donor offspring struggle with the secrecy component of their status. Typically, when gays or lesbians wish to have children via donor insemination or by non-biologically related surrogate, one parent is the biological parent and the partner adopts the child as would a step-parent. The resulting child has either two dads or two moms, or whatever designation is decided to describe the family unit. If a female surrogate is utilized, the surrogate has no biological or legal relationship to the child. Much has been written about the problems and adjustments that children go through when raised by people who are obviously of a different race or nationality, or who simply don't bond due to differences in individual genetically acquired personality. Similarly, LGBT parents may struggle with whether to deem their child to be gender neutral, or in the case of lesbian mom Kim Marshall, she wanted her son to be a girl solely because she herself is a lesbian. And that was quoted in by Marsh Larimore in Lesbian Mom Wants to Give Baby Boy Sex Change, and that was posted in Weekly World News 2005. There have also been a few cases where biological parents dissatisfied with the same sex of their newborn have subjected the child to sex change surgery. The result of a child is growing up confused by genetic versus physical and sexual orientation. Some LGBT adoptees who have reported suffering from these issues imposed on them by LGBT adoptions include, I'm just going to say their names, I'm not going to say their whole stories. You guys can look them up. Megan Brian Mendoza, David Wayne Cassidy, Gia Darling, Russell Mannix, James Michael Monroe, Nicholas West, and Ron Worley. There's no formula for making a stranger's child live up to their adopter's expectations. To the child, the burden of such expectations translates as abuse. And that's by Jack Kresenak. From Getting a Hold on Rage, some adoptive parents find love alone isn't the answer. That was in the Detroit Free Press in 1995. Well, anyway, thank you for listening to this chapter. I much appreciate it, and I hope you guys continue listening.